All right, back to work. Back to work. Weekend is over. Daylight savings time is over as well. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Hope you got some rest because we have a busy second week of the month of November. We are still working with those big moves Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week. Big moves are one of my favorite types of markets because they give us trading opportunities on both sides of the market. We got some long trades. We definitely got some bull trap short trades on our radar for tomorrow, and I'm going to cover my favorite trades in the video tonight. I want to make sure you guys have a game plan to make some money on Tuesday. Now, before we jump in and get the game plan going for tomorrow, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video, so make sure you subscribe. And if you like these lessons, if you enjoy these videos, do me a favor here tonight. Give me a thumbs up here in the video. Give me a hell yeah down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the channel. Weekend is over. Daylight savings time is over. We got the winter season is coming in. Remember, as the temperatures get colder, the markets tend to get hotter, and we love this time of the year in our trade room. Now, let's start off tonight here talking about the Nasdaq, the S&P, the triple Qs, and the SPY. We'll start off first in the 60-minute charts. I like to use the 60-minute time frames to plan my trades for the following day, but then later on in the video tonight, I'm going to drill down to some tick charts. Tick charts, faster time frames, tick charts are going to make the entry timing a lot easier for tomorrow. So we'll start off tonight first on the big picture on the 60-minute, and we'll finish up tonight with some entry tactics on the tick charts as we go deeper. The 60-minute time frames are they're pretty straightforward right now. Everything is bullish. There's no doubt about that. But the most important clue right now on the 60-minute is the size of this move. These are huge moves going higher Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so anytime we see a really big move in one direction like this, we expect a two-legged pullback and a retest of that high, right? Two-legged pullback and a retest of that high. Now, as you can imagine, there's a lot of ways in which you can make money in this situation. I definitely have some very selective short trades on the pullback. We'll talk about how to know when to pull the trigger on the short side on the pullback. I definitely want looking for that two-legged pullback back up to retest the high. And if we play our cards right tomorrow, we might get some juicy double top reversals. One of my favorite trades after a big move like this is that retest of the high and that double top reversal. So there are plenty of ways to make money as we kind of look forward to this two-legged pullback setting up at some point here this week. Now, before we dive into the entry tactics, because I'm going to talk about how to short this thing, how to buy the pullback. We'll talk about entry tactics here in a moment. Before we jump into that, though, let's double check the news here for tomorrow, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. There really isn't any major news here for us to worry about tomorrow. We get some small stuff, international trade at 8:30 Eastern time. Everybody pretty much waiting to hear what Powell will say. This is his first speaking engagement after the FOMC announcement last week. So, in all reality, the Powell speech on Wednesday and the consumer sentiment number on Friday are really kind of the only thing we got him speaking late in the day on Thursday. But bottom line is no major news here for us to worry about tomorrow. There's a bunch of Fed speakers, but I doubt they're going to be enough to move these markets. I'm sure everyone's waiting for Powell coming in on Wednesday. So we got kind of a wide open session for us tomorrow as far as news goes. So let's get back to our charts because it's good to know when the news is or when the news isn't coming out. But the money is made, of course, on the charts here. Let's start first now. Let's go with my favorite trades here for tomorrow. We'll start off right tonight on the Emini and the SPY, and we'll finish up tonight on the NASDAQ and the triple Qs. As I mentioned earlier on in the introduction, it's a huge move going higher, looking for that two-legged pullback and that retest of the high. How do we short off the high? How do we buy that two-legged pullback? And what's the deal with shorting that double top right off the high here? Let's drill down. Let's talk about the game plan as far as entry tactics go right now over our tick charts. This is a 7,000 tick chart in case you're watching for the first time right now, and that is the 21 EMA. Nothing special. It's pretty much a default indicator with a 21 EMA on the chart. What are the tick charts telling us right now? Ultimately, right now, we're a bull market into a trading range. And if you guys are taking my free video courses right now, you know that ranges love to rotate, right? So as we go off the low of that range, we should, keyword should, be rotating off of this low and trying to complete what we call the pendulum swing. Again, if you're in my free video course right now, this should make a lot of sense. And so right now, we definitely anticipate the buyers are trying to rotate going higher. I would love some shorts off the top up there. You got that triangle top, that pendulum top up there. So I love the idea of some shorts off the high. But are you seeing what I'm seeing right now too? Look at the buyers here struggling to get above that big high, that kind of early, morning session high on Friday. You can see they're really struggling to get through that high here right now. And so even though we assume the buyers are trying to get that rotation, it doesn't look that great right now. And I would imagine, look at the size of that move on the 60-minute time frame, we're going to have to get a relatively deep pullback here right now to get some meat on the bone, right, for these buyers. You know what I mean? It's difficult to think the buyers are going to be trying to buy very high right now. So this could easily get very bearish here. In the short term, I think there's a lot of great ways to short this market, which we'll talk about here in a moment. So really, to make sure we're ready for tomorrow, I want to talk about some reversals off the high. This will probably be my favorite trade here for tomorrow. We'll see if we can get it, the reversal off the high. But we also want to make sure we're ready for that move going lower here. So later on in the video, I'm going to talk about if we end up rolling over, right, and tumbling, because I could easily see this making a run down to that 43, 47 level I have marked up below. My favorite trade, though, for tomorrow would be a crown reversal off of this high. I would love to get this thing to pop up. I would love to trap in some buyers, right? Buyers come in, let them try once, let them try twice. I would love to trap in some buyers around resistance. Remember, we're way high up right now on the chart. Unless something dramatic changes tomorrow morning before we open up tomorrow morning in the trade room, I would imagine it's going to be difficult to justify being a buyer up there. And if I can get these buyers trying a couple times, I'd love to get what I call a 2-try failure pattern off the high, or even better, would be a crown reversal off that high. But the bottom line, though, is I'm hoping we're going to pull this thing out, go higher here overnight, trap in some rookies, and then use either a crown reversal like I'm drawing right now, or another variation of this would be possibly a V-top reversal. Again, I would love to get the buyers trying once, trying twice, and then using that 2-try failure, right, to run back down, basically selling into the stops of those rookies. But if we don't get it, if the market winds up rolling over and grinding down like this, once we see it grind down like that, all you do is you mark off that low, put a channel up around the highs up there, and then look left, find those swings, and grab that first test off the high of that channel. Now, I'm going to keep it simple here right now, right? This could be a trap pattern. I love bull traps, right? You guys are learning those in our free video classes, right? It could be a trap pattern. It could be if we pop up, get above the moving average. It could be a buyer failure pattern above the 21 EMA, failure into pullback combination. I'm obviously kind of drawing the screen here right now, but again, if we run up and we get whacked back down, watch that pop and that grind as we roll over, because at that point, where does the market want to go? It wants to rotate, right? Range markets love to rotate back and forth. So if we can get that V-top off that high, mark that low, up around those highs, and then any of the entry patterns you guys are learning inside the free video course can be applied off the top of that channel. Now, that reminds me, I know that most of you guys and gals have already taken my free video classes. You've learned all these setups, but if you're here watching for the first time right now, this might be a whole brand new language you're trying to learn. Failure patterns, trap patterns, pullback combinations, popping grinds. What does all that mean? Not to worry. I teach all this stuff, and I have hundreds of examples of the setups I'm talking about inside our free video classes. What I'll do is I'll put a little link up there for you in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that link and take that free video course, because the strategy you'll learn in that short video series will teach you a stupidly simple trick we use every morning in our members trade room to, first of all, know exactly where the best winning trades are likely to be that day. Then I'll teach you my 4 favorite entry patterns. So once you know where the best trades will be, you'll know how to time the perfect entry, traps, failures, pullback combinations. If you're not making consistent money right now, hit that link up top there. If you're tired of missing the best trades, that will put you on the right track, that free video course. And don't forget too, if you can't grab that link up there, popped up there, I'll put all the important links down in the description of the video. I'll put the free video course links, the trade room membership links, and also I post a lot of stuff on Twitter during the week. I'll put my Twitter feed down there in the description there as well. So again, if we wind up going higher, I love the idea of the 1, the 2, back down again, that 2 try failure, or if it V tops and grinds back down, now we know how to short that sucker, right, coming out. If something really crazy happens, the next thing would be to look for a breakout pullback. Right, have to break out and pull back off this range, but I'll tell you, that seems very unlikely right now after such a big move going higher last week. But again, if we were to push and accelerate, now all of a sudden the top of that trading range becomes an area of support. We wait for that pullback. We trap in the bears underneath the moving average, use that failure into pullback combination for that retest of the high. And then once we retest the high, a possible 2 try failure to short off the highs here. And again, if you're watching for the first time right now, this may be all brand new to you. If you're in the video course though right now, I'm sure most of the stuff is making sense, right? Failures below moving average and that short off the high here. Now let's talk about if we end up rolling lower, all right? Because remember, there's a huge move going higher here, right? Look at the Nasdaq right now. Would anybody be surprised if we saw a huge correction, then a move right? Of course not, right? Of course not. Let's now go grab the Nasdaq. Remember, anytime we see a really sharp, big move like this, the correction can be just as sharp. So we have to be anticipating that nice, deep, 2-legged pullback. The same thing is true here right now on the NQ. Everyone's looking for that 2-legged pullback to buy nice and low. I'm going to talk about 2 really easy ways to short this thing off the high right now and then pick it up, right, and buy it as we're going back to retest those highs here. Let's grab now, look at the NASDAQ, a tick chart. This again is a 4,000 tick chart. It's pretty much the exact same situation. We have a bull market right now into a trading range. And again, we should be trying to rotate back up and take out the pendulum swing on the opposite side of that trading range. Again, I love the idea of that 2 try failure, that reversal off the high here. But again, we may not get it. You can easily see they are stalled out here right now for good reason, by the way, right? For good reason. This thing went to Mars last week, and so you can see why. I can easily understand why buyers be very hesitant here to be a buyer. So how do we short this thing? How do we short this? Well, what's the problem? The problem is momentum. Momentum is all bullish right now. It's a great location for a short, right? We're way high up into resistance here, overhead. The problem right now is momentum. So there are 2 really kind of key ways I'm looking to short this thing if all we get is for it to roll over. We know how to short if it goes higher. We know that game plan is pretty easy, right? Now, if we wind up going lower, the key is going to be a bull trap or a pop and grind channel. Okay, bull traps are really easy. It's a lower low in price and a trap high above that high, right? This is the pattern right here. Okay, now there could be lots of different ways this looks, right? It may roll over and begin to grind down. That's the same idea, right? Mark off that high, series of lower lows. I want to see that bull trap right above that high. The most important thing right now is if we end up rolling over, I need to get in short as high as I possibly can, especially before we run into that big low. We have to assume there'll be buyers re-entering below that 138 here on the NASDAQ. Similar level, of course, on the S&P. All right. So if we do end up rolling over, look for that lower low in price and look for that bull trap above the high. And again, if I can get some sort of channel off that low, off that high, that is where the money is made on a rollover off of this high right now. Another situation I'm watching for tomorrow is, again, because we're so high up right now, I could easily see this thing just slipping and falling, right? And running down to these big levels. We had mentioned this on the S&P. I got 15,073 here on the Nasdaq. Watch carefully. If we end up basically popping lower and grinding down here again, we talked about this same idea, right? If it pops up, grinds down, or pops down, right? V-top and grinds down. It's the same basic idea. This does not seem very far-fetched here right now in this current situation. I'm going to talk about how to buy this thing in a moment. Don't you worry. I'll talk about how to buy that deep pullback. But if this thing begins to pop down and start grinding down like this, it's almost a certainty you'll see bears come in and just hit the top of that channel with either a bull trap like I'm drawing right here or a pop up. Buyers get above that moving average. Those buyers try. It's that failure into pullback combo, one of my favorite combinations in our morning trade room. Be thinking about a retest of that low for a target, and be thinking about that move down to that 15,073 here in the Nasdaq. And I mentioned that similar location on the S&P as well. And this may just be clear. This may end up rolling over and really running a lot bigger, right? That's fine by me too. Pop and grind down. We look left. Find those prior swings, and I want to get that short off the top of that channel, half off target at the low of that move, leave that runner right down to that yellow rectangle area I have marked up there before. All right, so if it rolls over, the name of the game is bull traps, right? That's the name of the game, right, during that pullback. Now, we had a strong run down earlier this afternoon or this morning, right? They may roll over and retest that low. How do I buy that area right there? What's the problem? The problem is momentum at that point, right? If we roll over and go lower, right? And again, as we're going down there, we're looking for those bull traps, right? As we go. Well, at this point, if I make myself all the way down to that retest of that low, this now becomes a really challenging area to be a buyer because we're now very bearish, right? We've now finished or failed rotation. Remember, we should be rotating going higher here right now. So if this thing rolls over, it becomes very bearish, and we begin to anticipate that larger deep correction we mentioned earlier on the 60 minutes. So I've got to be careful buying that 15,138 because of all of that bear momentum and the increased likelihood of a deeper correction because of the big move we saw last week. This is where a crown reversal is going to be necessary. Well, the bears try once as it pulls back. Let the bears try twice as it pulls back. Look at how I draw this pattern. A lot of people get this wrong. Remember, we need to, if it rolls over and runs lower, we have all that momentum now for the bears. I need to get the stops, right? I need to rope in these sellers and use their stops to fuel this reversal going back up into that range, right? When I don't have momentum on my side, I need to let the bears try once, let them try twice. I want to get that bear trap below that low. That would be a crown reversal and buy right into those stops to fuel that move going back up into that trading range. Now, think about that same game plan. If we were to roll over and begin to grind, we mark off that channel, right? Off the low, up around that high. We then look left and we short that first test, right? Off the top of that channel. At that point now, where's the objective? The objective is to retest that low. At this point, this is where a double bottom reversal can come in handy. We talked about about that a moment ago at the beginning of this video. I like the idea on the pop and grind to short that first test off that channel. I don't like the idea of selling into that low. So when I go to take my profit at that low tomorrow, if we start seeing rookies come in and start chasing this thing going lower, at this point, we're nice and low on the chart, right? We want to get nice and low to buy right now because that big record-breaking move we saw last week, if I can get these bears once, bears twice, I like the idea of this double bottom reversal as well. These are pretty easy because the target is right back to retest that high, right? That's a pretty easy target going higher there. If this was to then turn into a pop and grind going higher, where do you think the market wants to go? It wants to go back up into that trading range, find that new channel, mark off that high first, and then drill down and don't miss that first test off the low of that channel. Big moves like these are really, really easy if you have the right game plan to make money on both sides of the market. The most important thing right now is to understand the big picture, the context. We're anticipating a relatively deep two-legged pullback. I like the idea of the shorts on the way down, but I'm not liking the idea of chasing this thing as it goes lower, right? So we look for those bull traps above the highs, but then once we start getting way down here, right, now we look for those crown reversals. Bears once, bears twice, trap them in, right? Trap them in and run it. If they end up rolling over and retesting that low, this is that double bottom, that 1, 2. We don't need the crown reversal because the people who sold that pullback, they'll be taking the bulk of their position off at that low. They'll be buying their way out of those shorts off that high here. We then use what's called a 2-try failure pattern to rope in those rookies and punch this thing back up, take out that high, and potentially back up into that range up overhead. All right, guys, a pretty easy game plan if you ask me here for tomorrow. We want to go up, trap the buyers in, short back down. If we accelerate going lower, it's all about bull traps. Watch that pop and grind move going lower. It should be a pretty easy short on the way going lower. But then once we start getting way down here, no more selling, right? No more selling. Trap those inexperienced traders in and buy into those stops. Now, the game plan is all ready to go here for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow morning, the best place to learn this is to come out and do it with me. Come trade it with me tomorrow morning in our trade room. We open up every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we do this stuff together. We prep our charts, go over our setups, and we trade together every morning in our members' trade room. I'll put all the membership links. I'll put the free course links in there. I'll put the Twitter feed links in there. And I'll definitely put links to our members trade room. Opens up every morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the description of the YouTube video. If you have questions or you have trouble getting access to our video classes, don't be a stranger. You can always reach out, call or email or use live chat. So if you need help, if you're having trouble getting access or you got questions about brokers or whatever the case may be, definitely don't be a stranger. Reach out and we're here to help out as well. All right, guys. So are we enjoying our extra hour of sleep tonight? I'm sure all of us are dragging a bit after that time change. So let's get out of here. Enjoy your evening. Get some sleep. Catch up on whatever you missed this week. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time in our morning trade room. If not tomorrow morning, same time, same place tomorrow. And we'll get ready for Wednesday. It could be a busy week in our trade room. Hope to see you sometime soon. If not, same time, same place tomorrow. Be well. Be nice to each other out there. And you better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.